today.
You read's good?
Yep, I read real great.
Yeah, I think that's not nice.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Yep, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Darcy. Is that like our little start thing?
Good morning, Jeff. Yep.
I was just thinking about that. You were talking about the video and getting it to Phil if he ever wants to do it. If he would listen to the channel and tune in, then he would know that he could be employed for free to do work.
Yeah, free work for us.
I think everyone would be jumping at that.
Yep. Who?
Oh, we got a good morning, Patricia.
Aw, good morning.
Wow, we actually saw somebody's chat on time, I think. Or at least close to on time. It's amazing. I was telling somebody about how we see it 5 minutes later.
Well, sometimes we see it before. Sometimes I see it before. It just depends.
We're not very good at it.
Oh, Craig says good morning.
Oh, he's a mechanic today. Oh, he's still a moderator.
Yep. Gotcha. He's here to make sure nobody spams us.
Yep. No trolls. But it's Grandma doing it. So I don't know how we can get around that. So, all right. Well, we have an interesting. What?
Craig says he can't hear me.
Can't hear Darcy. That's interesting. So let's try this. Does that help the feed? Go ahead, Darcy. Well, I can't hear her.
I just re-listened and I can hear me. Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Checking.
Did that help any better? Yeah, he's working, so he'll respond eventually.
Oh.
If not, I can try tuning your specific.
Yeah. Grandma says she can hear us both.
Well, Grandma's on like state of the art, high definition stereo equipment. That's high fidelity, tuned just for her ears. Yeah, she sits in the center of the room. She has like 30 speakers sitting around.
As it should be for this wonderful show.
Yep.
You don't want to miss any of it.
No, that's for the Hallmark Channel.
But all the speakers?
Yep. That's set up. So she can watch her favorite stuff. What do we got? We got Tardigrades? Tardigrades? I said that wrong.
I'm actually pretty proud of that tardigrade that I drew. I feel like it's pretty accurate.
They wear hats?
Well, when they
carry bags?
It's a briefcase. He's going to work.
He's going to work. What's the snail have to do with it?
They can catch a ride with snails.
They can catch a ride with snails.
Yeah. Inside, but I didn't know how to draw an inside of a snail, so
that's inside of snails?
Yep.
That sounds crazy.
Yep.
We're gonna have to figure that one out.
Oh man. I'm laughing at my own picture. Is that
But before we get to snails and riding with tardigrades, or tardigrades riding with snails, commuting, is that something ride the HOV lane?
Probably.
Probably it.
You want to get to where you're going. But skip out on all that traffic.
That's the carpool lane if people aren't sure what the HOV lane was. That's where if you have more than one person, you're allowed to use the special lane on the highway that's just as busy as all the other ones.
That's true.
But it does go slightly faster, I would say.
Yeah.
Until somebody breaks down in it. The moment somebody breaks down in it, it is the worst spot to be. Because...
Go
ahead.
Or when you need to get to the exit. That's what I always
Well,
hated about Leslie.
yeah. If you got into it and you need to get to an exit, that's your own fault. You shouldn't have done that.
Yep.
Was it alluring? You know, it looks all fast and open, and then you're stuck in it, and you're like, no.
Yep. I guess I'm going to the
That's
end
like
of
the
the night.
express lane in Chicago. It looks all fast and fun, and you go over to it, and then you're like, I can't exit anywhere. This stinks. I don't
Yeah,
even know
'cause
where
I
I'm
like
supposed
the
to go.
ones on in Olympia or from Olympia to Seattle. They have some that exit, like the express lane will have an exit sometimes if it's a big enough exit. But
It's important
yeah,
enough. So,
eventually you'll get off.
scientists are trying to help everyone have cats, even those that are allergic to them.
I thought there was already cats that you could have if you were allergic. Those
The
hairless
weirdo
cats.
cats,
Yeah.
ones without hair.
Yes. Oh, hello. Rick just got home. She didn't like this story.
Who didn't like the story?
Ella,
Oh,
did you hear her barking?
no.
Oh, that's awesome. It was super loud. Yeah.
There we did. But yeah, but don't you want a normal fluffy cat? What would you rather pet, skin
Oh,
or soft hair?
you're gonna get us demonetized.
What? There's nothing wrong with having the
I know.
skin cat.
Maybe I just did. No, I think. Um, yeah, I don't know. Those cats are weird without any fur, but they are kind of cool.
They're cool. I'm not like saying if that's your purpose for it, but I would think that most people probably want ones with fur on them.
Yeah, yeah. Just because you're allergic to them, you might. I don't know. I like cats. I think I would like either. Less hairballs with the other ones. You okay?
I'm fine. I can't type fast and look over at the screen on the other screen. I put up a poll.
Oh,
Are we gonna go fur? No fur. Let's see what the community says. So, how are they doing this? They are deleting genes that create proteins in cats, the allergy causing proteins in cats, bringing us closer than ever to truly hypoallergenic felines. From the
weird.
villas. What?
This feels weird
What? Gene editing cats to not be allergic?
for us to not be allergic. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we're going to be gene editing people to not have diseases. Wouldn't you want practice before you start doing that?
Some animal testing.
That's kind of animal testing. It's pre animal testing, right? It's
Yeah.
not like they're editing their genes while they're alive.
Yeah, I hope not. That's weird.
No, I would be pretty impressed if they were able to do that. That would be funny. But you know, it's all before. So what's the worst that? Oh, okay, I get you. The worst that happens is you make this mutant thing that you gotta actually kill.
Yeah, they're like, we're you're not
Extra
allergic to us
allergic.
anymore, but yeah, but now you're food. I guess that kind of happens anyway sometimes, but
Mm.
yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting. People don't want to hear about it because then people will probably be pretty critical of the science. You know, what happens when you do mistakes in gene editing? I don't know if that's like, it could be public knowledge, but is it just the being never comes to exist? like you screw it up and it just doesn't get born? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or does it become mutant like? And I'm sure you get a little of both, but I'd be curious to know what's the majority, right? Because that's the thing. You can always take the two extremes and make things look horrible. But let's look to see what the average really was. And if the average is horrible, then that's probably not a good thing to do.
Yeah, but like how many times? And I don't know.
What, you mean how many times does it take to practice to get good at it?
Yeah, well, to get that average, I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
uh, but
Well, I mean, if you're up at the 10 and every time it's bad,
well, I mean,
might not be
cats are
something you
awesome
want to
and
do on a
everything.
mass.
No, no, I think cats are awesome. I love them, but I don't know. Like, does everybody have to have a cat? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a necessity. And to do genetic testings, I don't know. It just feels weird.
Well, I think of it more as not just cats, it'd be anything. You'd be
Yeah.
able to gene edit the allergicness out of all pets. Because that's what domesticated animals are. You know, they've been bred to be what they are. So it's the same thing as gene editing, it's just more precise now, right?
Yeah.
Because isn't that what you do with any animal breeds where you try to get the best pedigrees and you get rid of the ones that aren't so great?
Yeah, but then you do a lot of inbreeding. So then you get a whole new
You get a whole new set of problems.
issues. Yeah.
So there is no solution. So maybe the solution is gene editing so you don't have to inbreed.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's interesting, right? Because I mean, it depends. Would that help curb non-lab created stuff, right? Because if you have regular breeding of animals right now to try to genetically modify them to a specific way you want, you know, like super tiny things or certain colors or certain patterns or maybe even for intelligence, right? And like you said, you're getting inbreeding and stuff. Would the scientific side of it help clean that up? Is that dirtier than the science side of it? We'll call it the lab created side. What do you think?
Um, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I guess it would reduce, but I mean, it would be so expensive. Um, not everybody could afford that that lab or genetically modified pet. So then it's just I don't know. I don't think it would really change much as far as like the general pet population.
Okay. Do you think
Maybe
we'd ever get to a point of Walmart of pet genes where you just be able to select it right off of, or the Amazon of pet genes, right? Where you just get a list of exactly what you want. You buy it as an NFT and you get the actual animal.
I don't know. Like I'm having a hard time with this because part of me wants to be like, well, there's so many pets already in shelters and
No. This would be long term, obviously. Yeah,
oh, I know.
yeah.
But at the same time, I can't say that because we've our two dogs that we have right now we've from breeders, so it's like, well, you know, which to me feels very much the same as like a lab, you know.
Yeah, I mean, in general, it is when you really, really generalize it, right? I mean, it's very simplified at that point, but yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it could be breeders, but the the problem with shelters and strays is more of, I would say, a people problem in the way of not taking care of their pets, and then of course wild ones. I mean, you do have that factor, but that's not. I would say it's more people not taking care of them, right?
Yeah.
Because that kind of contributes to the wild factor. So
I I know.
If
Yeah.
it's a different problem, right? The breeding thing is trying to not have diseases and genetic imperfections that improve the life and stability and mental health of your pet long term. That to me would be what the goal of that is. And that's what breeders should be focusing on too, right? Getting the best of the best. It's not so that it's the strongest and the fastest, but just ones that as you grow and enjoy your lives together with, your pets, you don't have to you try to minimize the disease and the problems that you're going to encounter. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah. But that's what I'd hope they would do with science, right? That's
Yeah.
what, because I
No,
mean
for
that
sure.
would help. Like if, and then you put blockchain in with it, right? So you can prove that it came from a legitimate source and that it's all clean. So
Yeah.
it's
That's
funny,
nice.
right?
Yep. Yep.
So from the point of view, I don't know. I would say I'm mixed because I'm not too invested in genetic modification. I think if used correctly, it's fine. Whether you're breeding or not, it wouldn't, lab or breeding, it's the same. And so if you're doing it for a good purpose, then, that's okay. So they get the protein from cat tears. My mouse just disappeared.
Oh, whoopsies.
And we have nobody voting today. It's so sad.
They
It's
don't like this
investors.
story.
Yeah. Like, we don't care about genetic modification. I find it fascinating.
I think
Yeah, so they just
I
basically
don't
narrowed
have an
down the
opinion
gene.
on it yet because I do see the value and I also find it scary. So I don't know.
Well,
I don't feel one way or another.
moving from genetic modification of cats to
Insects.
genetic modification of humankind
Yep.
to
Yeah,
live
these jellyfish are cool.
forever.
Yep. Yeah, they can make themselves little again or young again, right? Back to their original little guys.
A
I don't
tiny
remember.
species of jellyfish can be found swimming around in its internal waters. An invertebrate capable of immortality does exist, but it doesn't achieve endless life via its swimming location, but instead through its unique biological makeup. Oh, there it is.
It was so little you almost missed it.
Yep, I just scrolled too fast. Found in the waters of both the Mediterranean Sea and Japan, a tiny invertebrate called the Pteropus doroni is the only animal known to be biologically capable of reverting back to sexually sexual immaturity after reaching adulthood, as there is no limit to the number of times it reverts back to a near infant state. It can conceivably repeat the process forever, rendering it immortal. That'd be a big responsibility to have one of those as a pet.
Yeah, right?
You like when you die and you bestow it on somebody, they're like, "Dang it, I didn't
Yep.
want that."
Talk about family heirloom.
Yeah, I know you get your immortal jellyfish.
Yep. I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, I had an ant farm, and that stressed me out a lot. It was a lot of responsibility, and I was so stressed out. I think I finally just let them go because was like, if they all die,
Be
it'll be my fault.
free.
It was really stressful.
Then a bird flies down and eats them all.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's out of my control then. But yeah, it's still like it still causes me stress that I even had that.
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility, a lot of little lives.
Yep.
Ants are cool. What was it? Oh, ants. We'll probably cover this in next week's show. I watched a video last night that ants cultivate fungus.
Really?
They've domesticated fungus. I'll
Oh,
put
I
it
saw
even
those.
another way. They have high level agricultural ants and low level agricultural ants. And the low level agricultural ants um, use fungus and they eat it because they find it's better for um, like storage and stuff like that. So they're like super smart on that. And then but the fungus can survive without them. But then the high agricultural ones have it to where if the ants leave, the fungus dies. So they've actually made it to where the fungus is dependent on the ants to survive because they're
That's
moist
cool.
conditions and feeding it. They actually go and get leaves to feed the fungus. They don't eat the leaves, and they eat the
That's
fungus.
so cool.
Yeah.
They're like, this is for our food to eat.
Mhm. Mhm. It's and they take care of it, and it's all inside of their little areas. It was really cool. I was like, wow. So ants are farmers, and everybody thinks, like not everybody. A lot of people think that ants, just are ants, like nothing. But there's these species of ants that are out there have figured out how to grow fungus, basically.
That's so cool. Yeah, we should definitely need to look more into that and talk about it some more. I like it.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, whoa, answer. And then when you were talking about your little ant farm, I was like, yeah. And then they can have their fungus.
Yeah, those weren't my ants. My ants were like, we don't
And then they
we're not
escape
getting
and they
enough
take
sugar
over.
water. Yeah.
What? We don't get enough water? Is that what you said?
Sugar water. Isn't that what I feel like that's what you're supposed to feed your
Sugar
ants.
water?
I don't know, it was a long time ago.
I don't know. I think ant farms are fascinating. You should see like what they sell as like advanced ant farms are pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you can do some pretty cool stuff, and you can have like tunnels and connections and all kinds of cool things.
Yeah, I might be irresponsible enough to take care of
Handle
the
it
ants like
nowadays.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a couple dogs that are still that appear healthy, so they have a vet appointment
They
today. I'll need to
appear.
take her leave.
They appear.
Yeah.
So, just how does one go about living forever? If you're thinking about these creatures as thousands-year old entities, you're not technically wrong, but you're not quite right. They start as a larva, developed from a fertilized egg, and they develop to create what is known as a planula. These free swimming planula go off and eventually settle in on the ocean floor, create colonies of polyps which grow upward from the sea floor to form a cylindrical shape. From these polyps, a medusa or jellyfish forms, which breaks off from the branch after reaching adulthood. It's like they got two stages. Like really, they go and do these
There are
planula
three
thing,
stages.
huh?
Uh-huh. And yeah, there's three. So there's a planula and then a polyp
Yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah.
medusa.
So it's like a butterfly. And really, if
Yep.
you if I thought they said larva somewhere.
Yeah, it
Starts as a
starts as a
larva. Oh, the larva is the planula. Okay, yeah. So it's just like a butterfly. So jellyfish are like butterflies. Never.
oh,
Oh wow, they're the underwater butterflies.
yeah. Minus a brain.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
If you think about it, how they float and flutter around,
Mm.
kind of like butterflies. So then, is the sea like the upside down of the land?
Yes. Yep. Like the jellyfish flaps its wings.
No, you have like some kind of variant of the underwater version above.
Mhm.
Be
Yep.
interesting to see how many line up, right?
Yeah.
They go to 4.5 millimeters. That's huge. The width of your pinky fingernail.
Whoa. Giant.
And if they touch you, you die. I did
Want
it.
those.
I did add that, but
Yeah. I was like, they're not manowars.
oh man, weren't you guys getting invaded by man wars recently?
Uh,
Somewhere?
not that I'm aware of.
Mm. Somewhere was getting invaded by man wars, like really bad. I thought.
Here, hold on.
So
Let me see.
Yeah. The process means that the jellyfish will retract its tentacles, shrink its body, and then drop to the ocean floor. From there, the jellyfish regresses into a sexually immature larva and forms new polyps until it reaches adulthood once again. They're like, it's technically immortal, but it can still be killed by a predator. Well, yeah, duh.
I did find where it says, well, just in April, it said that spring on South Florida beaches is not just for spring breakers and swimmers. Spring is often about the return of Portuguese man o' war. So, yeah, they do. They come here in the spring. But that's South Florida.
Yeah, I didn't know where. Yeah, I wasn't trying to say it was by you guys.
Yeah, no.
We just thought they were talking about it was bad, like really bad this year or something.
Yeah, that's scary. Those things are dangerous.
So, how this helps us is we're trying to understand the cells of these jellyfish, and then it helps us with stem cell research.
That's very.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that's really cool. Use it for research.
Yep. For clues on how to regenerate damaged human tissue to treat a wide variety of medical ailments.
Did we take a quick break?
Exactly. Before we talk about the Black Death.
Oh, man. I like that we went from Immortal Jellyfish to the Black
Death. Well, our transitions are chosen by the producers. So.
Yep, excellent.
We can't really control like the order that we have to show these in, right? It's just what's given to us.
Yep.
All right, yeah, we're gonna take a 5-minute break, and we'll be back with some Black Death.
Yep, can't wait.
Ready.
Yeah. Ready.
Ready. I'll ever be ready.
Perfect. Let's see.
I gotta recalibrate. Recalibration in process. Recalibration robot.
Yep. I liked it.
New study suggests that Black Death was not nearly as devastating as originally thought. See? It's a better
So,
projection.
so it was like a gray death.
Gray death?
Like
Yeah.
less what? Gotta make it sound bad.
Scientists analyzed samples of fossil pollen from across Europe to estimate the death toll of the Black Plague and found evidence of a dramatic population decline in only 7 of the 21 regions studied. So 21 regions of people died. So they thought 50 million people were killed by it, and now they are thinking. Now they were saying 65% of the European population is what's commonly believed. I don't see what their new numbers are. Are they scared to tell people? Say, oh, it wasn't as.
49 million.
49 million. It is an improvement, and so everything they stated is accurate. Not seeing a lower number. Oh, we're just gonna say less. We're gonna go with less people. Oh, I got a programming thing that I want to throw in. Remind me. It's in our email. Comedy thing. What'd they do? They did programming languages assigned to Futurama characters.
Oh, I like that.
I wanted to look
So
at
they
it.
just say there was less.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with there's just less people died.
Yeah.
After reading the new study on how many people died from the Black, it wasn't a very good study. I can say that I agree, because that sounds
Well, that's it.
nicer.
They still believe it wiped out half of Europe's population. So instead of 60%, they think it was, well, it was at least 50%.
Yeah. It's 65, I think, was what it was. It was 65, so we got a 15% reduction. That's pretty decent.
I suppose. I mean, it's still in the millions, but
Yeah. Oh. Still pretty bad. Still gets black.
so it's still the Black Death.
All right.
Just don't have to deal with it as much. That's weird.
Dog breed is surprisingly poor predictor of individual behavior. No, human breed is the surprisingly good predictor of dog behavior.
I think both are true.
Right? Your human determines your dog's behavior. For a lot of it. Not all of it,
Yeah.
but a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they have
Their environment
dogs
too.
have personalities,
Mhm.
but yeah, how they behave is pretty much up to you.
Yeah, I mean, to your best efforts, right? There's some like it's just like kind of like having a high energy child, right? Some things you just can't. It's just like you said, they have their own personality, and so yeah, sometimes you can't get them to, I guess, behave in the way you might like them to. Right? Would you? Yeah, I mean, you would be the expert in this area, not me.
I don't know about kids, but yeah, I feel like because I've had dogs not a great trainer now, but I know more, you know. And when you take your dogs to training, it's the owner that's being trained on how to deal with their dog and their dog's personality. So you go and you know, teach your dog to sit, but you're not, you know, yeah, you're teaching your dog to sit, but you're learning what you need to do to make sure that your dog always listens to you. So, and until you can figure that out. But you also have to, especially with high energy dogs, I think it's important to also let your dog, oh, music is still playing.
It was. I got it.
That's awesome. Um, yeah, I don't know. Ella's super scared of everything. And so we're trying to get better about getting her out and around loud noises and around people and, you know, because she's scared of everything. The bigger she gets, it's just going to be harder to control. So, and I think that's kind of where people go wrong.
I was thinking that I learned all my kid and dog training skills from South Park when the dog whisperer was training Cartman.
I missed that one.
Oh, you have not seen that one?
I stopped watching
that is
a long time ago.
A classic. They're all classics. I don't think there are some that are just okay maybe, but yeah, I would say some of the newer stuff wasn't. I don't know. It's still okay, but that one was good.
I remember the first time I saw the movie. It was like right after it came out on VHS. I think I watched it at a friend's house, and we immediately watched it again. The only other time that I've done that was Napoleon Dynamite. Those are the two movies I saw back to back. Both on VHS, surprisingly. Yep. Good times. I do like this though. I couldn't remember where I'd seen this article, and I was telling Rick about it. That I'd seen an article about it. So clearly I was paying attention when we were putting this together.
Geneticists had asked the question before in different ways to see everybody assuming that breed was predictive of behavior in dogs. Really? We pay people to have these opinions.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it sometimes. Like, why? I mean, it depends on how much. I would put a percentage, right? Its breed has a factor. But the way it's worded, it's like it's the main predictor, right? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things, you know, like large breed dogs or ones that have been deemed mean by society, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what's funny is because then since they've been deemed as a mean dog by society, they get picked up by mean people of society. And they make more mean dogs because they want the mean dog, and then they make it mean. Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, we've been looking at rental places, and it's interesting how many places will allow dogs, but they say aggressive breeds restricted or not accepting, you know, won't accept aggressive breeds. I'm like, I know what you're saying, but but yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah, right here. I think this is what I was just saying. I think this is the way I interpret it. The new study revealed that the most heritable behavior factor for dogs is human sociability. Their interactions with humans is how it determines a lot of their behavior.
Yep.
That's it. We're not studying wild dogs here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's a huge difference.
They're not dingoes.
Not dingoes. Dingoes steal Oreos.
Yep.
So, yep, this isn't news, but it is. I mean, it's news in the fact that I guess there's a large. Well, we know it because of what you just said. You go to a hotel and you can't bring your dog in, or even apartments, right? Everything.
Yeah. 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 We've been looking for homes to rent. We might sell our house and we'd need to rent for a while because we have two large breed dogs. Even though one's a puppy, we still it's still a large breed. Um, but yeah, it says a lot of places will accept dogs. I mean, I can accept the small dog versus large dog. That makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
that
But
right there. Yep.
the aggressive breeds is won't accept aggressive breeds, and like, wow, that's interesting. Because my dogs have gotten attacked by, um, well, Oliver did when he was little. He got attacked by a couple dogs, a few different times, but they were always little dogs, like little wiener dogs, and a Chihuahua. Um, Scared him half to death. Poor little guy. So
Well, part of the problem is that they just throw in breed after it
mhm.
because they're
Yeah,
trying to just say, well, it's because of, they don't want to basically test your dog to see if it's aggressive or not, and then the backlash that would come after that if it did happen to. But I don't know. It should just be aggressive dogs, not allowed. Like that's it. I don't want a dog that's
yeah,
gonna
no,
bite
that's
people. But
totally
if
fair.
you're a dog, and then your size, yeah, the size is a legitimate one. Because if I was renting a house, I wouldn't, and I wouldn't allow pets, in general, because trying to keep it as nice as possible. But if I did allow pets in a rental, I'd probably prefer smaller ones. And then, but then if it was like if you didn't have that I don't think anybody wants an aggressive dog around them, right? So I think that one's just common, but it's okay. Like everybody will accept that label, but then when they throw the breed in it, then it's just like that's
But
where
we'll
it.
accept aggressive dogs, just not aggressive dog breeds.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's like saying that you could have like a dog that's accepted and be aggressive, and we don't care. That's okay. No, no. There's no aggressive dogs allowed.
Yep.
It's easy. And that's where people yeah, you're right. And it seems like this was like a scientific belief and I just find that fascinating that we have
Well,
actual
people also,
yeah,
scientists also
yeah,
believe
I
that
know.
women shouldn't run because their ovaries would fall out. So, like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yep.
things
Yep.
are getting better. People are
Yep.
like, wait a second, some of this doesn't make sense. Let's get back to like,
You get enough of those people, right? Because you got a few and then they still are like,
they're like, this
no.
doesn't make any sense. Let's reevaluate.
And that's when you have those new scientists that are like, let's study poop.
Yep.
And the old scientists are like, nah, I'm good with that. And the new scientists are like, well, I'm going to study snail poop.
I was like, okay, that's better.
And they're like, well, okay, now you're onto something. I don't think we've studied snail poop before.
No, and tardigrades.
Well, we know we've studied those tons. They're super famous, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're really
Tardigrades
famous.
are the most survivable thing in the known universe, right? Wouldn't that be the best way to put it?
Sure. I don't know that much about tardigrades.
What?
I
You
know,
do
that's why I love
not
you.
know how epically not immortal they are. They're not. I do not believe they're immortal. They're not like the jellyfish. Them and the jellyfish need to hang out. Maybe they
Are
need a
they the
hitcher. Go ahead.
Oh, are tardigrades the ones that they put in space? Like
Yeah,
unprotected in
they
space? Okay.
yeah they can travel in space unprotected.
That
Yep.
is pretty cool.
Yep. Oh, they can do anything. They can be in underwater. I think I'm making this up because I don't know that fact. But it helps support my crazy tardigrades being awesome. But I do believe they can do everything. They can survive pretty much everywhere. Um, they go into like they can regenerate, I believe. I don't know. I'm making them epically awesome.
You're
If somebody
successful, succeeding.
Yeah, if somebody wants to fact check me, I would like documented sources because tardigrades will not accept anything less. But, yeah, they're
I
pretty
like it.
awesome. So here they are. This is how they get around. They don't just float in space. They don't swim underwater. They also hitch rides with their friends. And so the
Look.
next, I like what?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I like the way they set up the story. The next time you're fidgeting in an uncomfortable seat or a crowded train or an airplane and wishing for a better way to travel, be grateful you aren't a tardigrade. For these near microscopic, oh yeah, and I think they can also do something with like quantum space.
Really?
Yeah, yep. I think they have something there. The quantum world. Yep. Fun times. For these near microscopic animals, getting from one place to another sometimes means being swallowed by a snail, riding in its guts, and then exiting the mollusk via, you know, in a clump of, you know. Because I think we can't, I think even what our title was, I don't know if we're allowed that. Now that we've talked about it, then the voice things are going to go look and pause our
I don't
thing.
think. I think it was.
Because I've listened to other YouTubers, it's interesting how they dance around certain little words. But
Yeah, I've been wanting to Google that. I haven't. I haven't yet. Clearly.
so we're gonna we don't know the appropriate word to use, so we're just gonna let you read this or guess where they're exiting a body from and what
The
material.
other end.
And it's not
Come in the
water.
mouth and they go out the other end.
And it's not the
The
water
water.
side.
Yeah.
So despite the obvious drawbacks of this arrangement, I don't see what the drawback is. You just take a bath in the way out, or it's like Inner Space. If you never saw the movie Inner Space,
Oh my god, I love that movie.
yeah, I did too, and it was funny too, um, but it's kind of like not that big of a deal. Traveling by snail is certainly faster for a wee tardigrade than walking. Exactly. Unfortunately, it'd be like the express train. Wow, that's funny. A snail is like the express route for these tardigrade. Have only a 30% chance of surviving the trip. Oh.
They can survive space, but they can't survive.
Yeah, they run the risk of being digested along the way. So they can survive the vacuum of space, but they might get digested. Oh, is that like the train conductor? Like if he didn't have a ticket?
Yeah. Well, you're lunch now.
Yep. Or if you stay on the train too long, like you fall asleep on the train or the
Oh
bus.
man, I used to fall asleep on the bus all the time.
I know.
I always
I
woke
did
up
all
in
the
the
time on the subway. Where'd you wake up, did you say?
I'd always wake up in time, but if anything, I'd wake up and get off the bus too early, like several stops too early, and I think I was, past it, so I'd just get off the bus and be like, "Oh no." Now I gotta walk like 2 miles home. Oh,
We were the last stop on the subway, so
oh,
it was
nice.
yeah, it was like they would kind of like make sure because they would usually decommission the trains by the time I got home. It was like I don't think Boston subways ran 24 hours. I'm pretty sure they don't. And so like some of the trains coming out to where I lived would end, and then they just drive them off to the end. And once in a while, you'd hear a news story about somebody being left on it.
That's
But
awful. Yeah, that bus that I used to fall asleep on, because I work graveyard, so I'd sleep on the way home, and it was like an hour bus ride. Yeah, but they'd run that route was like every hour or every hour and a half or
Mm,
something. So it was something silly like I couldn't just wait for the next bus.
yeah.
I'd be home and in bed before the next one even came.
Yep.
But yeah, if I went all the way to the end, that was way too far to walk. That was like 6, 7 miles. Yeah, no thanks. And it was that time it was not a safe part of town. I guess
Mm.
it's real fancy now, but
Yeah, that's usually how it goes, right? Because it gets cheap.
yep.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
that's why I lived there because I was a kid. It was cheap.
Yep. Nope. It gets cheap, and then it gets so cheap, then it becomes an eyesore and cheap, and then real estate people come and kind of push people out and make it
Yep.
nice again, right? Isn't that pretty much like the way it goes?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yep.
funny that you say that. Oh, it's nice now. It's like, well, I'm sure that a lot of people probably got pushed out of their place, right?
Yep.
To
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
make that nice. It's kind of interesting, but yeah, falling asleep on the public transit is interesting. It's fun.
No bueno.
Fun times. So don't fall asleep inside the snail. And a tardigrade is 1.2 millimeters long. So then there 5 tardigrades could be the size of that jellyfish because 4 tardigrades are the size of that jellyfish. Kind
Oh,
of
those
cool.
are tiny.
So 2 tardigrades could ride on the jellyfish, I would say. Hopefully the jellyfish
And
can,
then live forever.
and then live for oh yeah, you transfer some of your knowledge, and then yeah, mortality for a ride. Well, no, that seems like tardigrade's getting all the advantage. What the jellyfish getting out of it?
Um, Not having to live forever alone.
Oh, a friend. Okay.
Or a friend. That's a nicer way to put it.
2 friends.
Facing eternity alone. Or just a friend.
We're just a friend. Yep.
Good times.
So there you go. Yeah. So they just basically, I mean, it's obvious what happens. They ride till they get done. They come out. It's pretty cool. It is funny that they can't survive, possibly. Like a 30% chance of survival. I would not take those odds. I'd be like, I'm walking.
Yeah, I'll stay home today.
World shark tooth capital teamed with even more extinct species than we knew. A recent study documented Florida's extensive list of extinct sharks and rays. Florida is well known among paleontologists as a rich source of shark fossils, but records of such finds around the state have not been examined systematically until now. So they fed them in a computer, and a computer told them what they needed to tell everybody. Researchers recently analyzed thousands of fossil specimens in the collection of museum. You know, this is what I'm always talking about is that like the data that we collect, we do not analyze. Like when there's like when you're trying to track work and stuff like that, how much information you can get from stuff and not tracking it. It's just like, why not just track it? So that's probably what, like, big data, that's probably what Google and Twitter and all them exactly thought. They're like,
Yeah.
well, you know how cool and like what you can get from all this data? And then you have, I think then you have like the bad actors come into play, right? And they're like, hey, you can make some money off this. I mean, you could start out that way, but it probably really did start just as like, wow, if you track all this data. So then here, they finally were like, oh, let's use all this data we've been tracking for this. And this is where the cool stuff comes, right? Yeah. But when you're trying to track people, then it's a little different.
Yeah, no, it's a little less cool.
Yeah, it's a little different, right? Because you don't have control over that data. If you knew who was using it, then it's still okay as long as you were tracking it yourself, right? What do you think? No?
I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. when you start, then you have to say other things are okay, and it just feels. I don't know. I guess you'd have to define what okay is.
Well, I'm saying you can completely control your data. That's here.
Oh, my own data.
Yeah, your own
Yeah.
data, and then you get to release it to what you want. Sell it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what. But then you still have to allow the sites to track it and give it to you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the tricky part, that they're not keeping it. So, Florida finally looked at theirs, and they have always been known as the shark tooth capital of the world. And now, I don't get what they did. A large number of the specimens that the scientists analyzed for study had been donated to a museum by amateur fossil hunters and represent sharks and rays that lived in various locations across the state between 45 million and 10,000 years ago. So they added 20 unknown species. So they recorded 70, but then 20 of which were added to their fossil record for the first time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot of sharks.
Mm-hmm. That is. And that's like, we're talking like a whole species that they didn't even know existed. And rays. Sharks and rays.
Yeah. Well, they're part of the same family, I think, right?
Are they? Yeah, I think they are. I believe you are correct. 100,000 fossils. Just pile of bones.
Pile of teeth.
Teeth, bones. I don't think it really mattered because they were showing like.
Yeah, jaws and stuff.
I guess yeah, it's still teeth though. I don't know what that is. Spines. Mostly teeth though.
Shark
Things
money.
that. Huh?
It looks like coins.
Shark money. I don't know. Whenever stuff like that happens, instantaneous in my head, I have like whole little animations going on of like sharks transferring money, like one shark rolling up to the next and having this whole little
That's what I was
conversation.
thinking
Like,
too.
hey, hey, you got, I'm gonna buy that, and then this, and then it's kind of like, if you really think about it, it's like Jabberjaw. Did you ever watch that?
Oh, yeah.
And so I kind of think of those types of sharks, right? That's how I think sharks, like not, well, when my legs are dangling in the water, I think of the mean sharks from Jaws. But
Right.
when I think of something like you just said, I think of Jabberjaw shark.
Yep.
And so, or the one from Little Nemo or Finding Nemo, whatever it is.
Oh,
And
right. The vegetarian one.
yeah, the one that like fish are not food or something like that. Like that one. Like he's always trying to remind himself not to be bad. Like you got both of those. You got the ones that are super friendly, and the ones that are kind of like on the border, and then you got the ones that are like Jaws.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
yeah,
I
Shark
thought
Money.
Otto looked like Jabberjaw.
Yeah.
I always would tease him about it.
Yep.
He liked it.
If you haven't seen Jabberjaw, it was a good cartoon. I don't know. I can't say it's good because you have to. I haven't rewatched it in current day context. So
As a kid, it was good.
yes, as a kid, it was a funny, good mystery show, right?
I don't remember.
Adventure mysteries. I think it was kind of like it was. I thought it was a knockoff of Scooby Doo. I thought it was exactly the same as Scooby Doo, but they, a lot of the shows back in the '80s, the cartoons, like they had an exact copy of the same show.
Yeah, wasn't Jabberjaw in the. What was that show where they had all the different cartoons on it and they would do like little races and stuff?
The Laugh Olympics or
is that what it was? I don't know.
The Hanna-Barbera, because they were all part of the Hanna-Barbera stuff, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and then it was like all the different.
And they'd sabotage each other.
Yeah.
That would be. Oh man, if you could get the rights to that and make a race game out of that, that would be fun.
That would be fun.
Right? Think about all you could pick all the Hanna-Barbera characters. Yep, that would be fun. Cause yeah, those were good shows in the context of being childhood shows back then. But I look at today's childhood shows and they're just that's kind of like really. So, but then I don't know about the messages, all the messages. It seemed like most of the messages in cartoons were pretty good back then, right? But I don't know. I can't say that 100% confident.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think so, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard to know for sure because context.
Hmm. Well, speaking of context, do you talk to mushrooms?
No.
No. You're an eggplant.
Um.
Eggplants and mushrooms don't talk?
We're not talking right now.
You're not talking right now.
Yeah, there was a disagreement, and I
Mm.
was like, "You are not a fun guy."
Or you not a fun plant?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
So what about so you can't tell us what mushrooms have been chatting about with each other this whole time?
Um. You know, this and that. Uh. You know, spreading rumors, talking about
Spreading
all the different,
rumors.
or like, or just talking about what they digested last week. How many people they saved with penicillin? They got a big heads. I don't know.
That'd be pretty cool if you could figure out what they're saying. So, a computer scientist.
Oh, can you make this one bigger?
Yep.
The text is very small. Oh, excellent. Thank you.
So, a computer scientist says that forest floor dwelling fungi can send one another electrical signals to form word like clusters, but whether that represents something to a language isn't clear. And so they were able to monitor the electrical signals coming from one fungus to another. I'm not reading specifically anything, I'm kind of general paraphrasing it. And they were able to find patterns that resembled human speech.
That's really interesting.
And they could use, it's possible that, so the way they know that reports that previous research shows that the number of electrical impulses traveling through the hypheny, and I don't know what the hypheny, let's see, long filamentous tendrils that organisms use to grow and explore, likened to neurons, increase when the fungi encounter new sources of food, and that suggests it's possible that fungus use this language to let each other know about new food sources or injury. Wow, that's cool.
That's super cool. I'm just wondering, like, so if there's injury, then they could, if we could figure out the patterns and we could figure out how to mimic if there's an injury to have them grow more or to stay away from certain things. I don't know why you would want fungus to stay away. Um, or like new food sources so you could have them come over to this new area to, I don't know,
Do their thing.
the, yeah, make the lands more fertile. I don't know. That's awesome. We could talk to fungus.
So scientists are mixed on this being an actual language because they said that pulsing behavior has been recorded previously as fungi transport nutrients. But that doesn't mean that just because somebody dismissed it and said that it's due to breed behavior, that it really doesn't mean something else. So, interesting.
Very interesting.
And then, speaking of fungus, they also have more than 17,000 sexes. Wow.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of different, like, to keep track of. I want to say something, but I can't. And so that is just crazy.
Yeah. Huh. That's a wow. Can't. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that.
What does that mean? Like how I don't get it. Uh, like how does it work? In total, scientists obtained a bunch of specimens. Suggested that sex in these mushrooms was controlled by two regions. The diversity has hampered sequencing efforts. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Previous work has suggested that sex in these mushrooms was controlled by two regions of the genome, known as the MATA and the MATB. MATA, MATB, we'll just call it that. And that each of these regions had many different possible alleles. For potential mates to be compatible, both regions must be from their both regions must be different from their prospective partners. So no interbreeding, basically.
That's an interesting way to make sure.
Yeah, it is. It really is. You just keep making up new ones, so then you can't have interbreeding. Huh. Make it hard to sequence. That's what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. That's that's awesome.
Yeah, it's exactly lowering the odds of interbreeding. And the reason that you want so many different ones is so that you have a higher chance of breeding, right? Yeah. And it's funny that that's what it all makes sense. And then they're like, also having so many variants to choose from makes it more likely any given neighbors will be sexually compatible for up to a 98% chance, which will help the species survive in the long run. It's interesting.
That is very interesting.
I didn't understand why, but now I do. It was like, why in the world wouldn't you? So, having a bunch of different sexes helps you prevent interbreeding, which would be, I guess, um, a way to have a more healthy
Yeah, because well, they're
fungi.
so important. They've made themselves so important as like this connection between plants and um, breaking down things, and I don't know. They've got a
That's
lot of uses, and so that way they can always make sure to stay healthy and
yeah, and they're super advanced. They talk to each other. That's why they're aliens, right?
yes,
They actually run the world. They control us. You
yeah.
know about the little mind controlling fungus that controls the little ants, right?
Oh yeah,
The ones, the
yep,
brain
and
eater ones, and then they get like, they tell them to do stuff.
yep, yeah. Isn't it? Wasn't that the premise of that M Night Shyamalan movie too? The Happening. Was it
Oh, I don't
Fungus?
remember.
I think it was
Yeah, is it?
in general.
Hmm. And
See,
so,
I ruined it for everybody. We need to put a spoiler announcement on
I don't think we gotta worry about that. Nobody's gonna go watch
that.
that movie.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
Any more?
Aliens? Do you think they're truly another aliens, like a real alien species that we
From
just
outer
don't
space?
understand? Yeah. Like they came here from outer space with the tardigrades. They were in the tardigrades poop.
I'm gonna say no.
Well, maybe Russia knows.
I figure there's a 50-50% chance.
But
Maybe
Russia's got other
50%.
problems.
Yeah, they do.
An
Is that supposed to
old
be a good
rocket
wowza?
broke up.
Hey, can we take a break? Just a quickie.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
Does it want music? Break music?
Yeah, let's do it.
Break music.
Remember how the music goes.
Back?
Back.
Backjack? Or flapjack?
Backdraft?
Flapjack jack?
Yep.
Flapjack jack back?
Back. Oh, that's like Attack from Mars.
So now everybody understands our commuter tardigrade.
Yep,
But the saddle is a little misleading.
it is. I told
Makes
Jeff
it.
I didn't know how to draw the inside of a snail.
I know. I think it's great for visual.
Yeah.
But you could consult South Park on that. They were able to do that as what Lemmy Winks traveled inside of Paris Hilton.
Oh man.
There was just awkward silence after that one. Oh, that's funny. So this rocket, this is something I was talking to you about. An old Russian rocket motor, huh?
I said, is the music still playing?
Nope, I checked it. It's off.
Excellent.
So this old Russian rocket motor broke up in orbit, generating new cloud of space debris. 16 pieces of space debris. So, 16?
Whoa.
16. A whole 16. This looks like a little more than 16.
Yeah. Well, it is dangerous because we've got people up there. You got to keep an eye on it. But that's still, yeah, there's still a lot out there.
That's why we don't get aliens. They can't get through our force field.
Yeah, right?
So, the object was a motor from a space tug that helped deliver 3 Russian satellites to orbit in 2007.
Oh.
It broke up on April 15th in the U.S. Space Force's 18th Space Division Squadron. It's so funny saying that. Space Force, Space. Have you seen Space Force on Netflix? I think it got canceled, but it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch it, but Yeah. Again, I'm still watching mindless, other kind of mindless shows in the morning.
And that's the problem. Like people are all like up in arms about Netflix not, their viewership dropping and whatnot. I mean, there's so many different things to watch. It's hard to
Yeah.
say. They don't control it now, but Space Force is good. It's a good one. And so they're being tracked, and the spacecraft lifted off the upper stage, which had two small motors, according to astrophysicist and satellite tracker Jonathan McDowell, who's based in Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. Ullage motors accelerate their parent rocket stages slightly to ensure the booster's fuel is positioned in the tanks properly for engineers' restarts in orbit. You can't rely on gravity to pull the propellant down towards the engine after all. Okay?
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. These proton upper stage Ullage motors are known as SAW motors, and there are currently 64 of them in orbit. And they have a long word for them, which translates to Launch Assurance System. They don't use up their propellant when they fire, and they have the fortunate tendency to go bang years or decades later.
Wow. At least 54 have exploded.
So this debris event was predictable and is well understood. Space junk is a growing problem for satellite operators and mission planners. The European Space Agency estimates about 36,500 pieces of debris, at least 4 inches wide. At least. That's bigger than quarters. That would hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going super fast. It says there's about 1 million between 0.4 inches and 4 inches.
Which now we're talking about quarters and rocks.
Yep.
Whizzing around, 1 million of them. I don't want to do any spacewalks.
No, that's horrible.
Ow! It's like paintball. You're playing paintball in space with space debris.
I think they would. Aren't they going so fast they can go right through you, even the little ones, right?
Yep.
Or am I making that up?
Nope, I believe that. I don't know, because I would think, I don't know, if it's just tinking on the sides, that would be interesting, because how would the space station dodge 1 million? Right? You would think that it has, or is it outside of that? Is it in a different orbit area?
That's what I was thinking. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, wherever we go, we just pollute stuff.
Yeah.
So, next we have our first photos of Milky Way's monster black hole. So, for the people that are just listening, we have an image of a black hole at the center of our galaxy.
It looks like a fuzzy donut.
Yes. And it's a giant behemoth of a black hole dubbed Sagittarius A.
Oh, that's a nice name. That's their black hole name?
Mm-hmm. Revealed by the Event Horizon Telescope. Do you know how the Event Horizon Telescope works?
Nope. Tell me more.
All right. So this black hole is super, super, super far away. Like so far away that you can't see it with any telescope here on Earth. They first discovered it because, is this going to be a video around it? We'll see in a second. They first discovered it because they were seeing other stars. They were watching like this area of the sky, and they were seeing other stars' orbits change that weren't explainable. Okay?
Yep.
And so then they had to switch to like some kind of infrared light and radio waves. I think they're tracking it with radio waves. And it's like, you see how they're zooming in. Yeah, it's like this. This is like how far away it is. It's like so far away. And they finally figured out a way to do it with taking telescopes placed all over the Earth and triangulating their data. Well, getting their data, focusing them all on this one point, and then feeding their data to a computer that reassembles the data from all the different points at the exact same moments that they were all recording it at, and finally got this picture.
Amazing.
And so it's I think it's like 10 different satellites across the world that all do this, and that's what they call the Event Horizon Telescope. It's an array. It's an array the size of the Earth, because you had to make your telescope the size of the Earth to be able to see this. That's why they couldn't build a telescope to be able to see it, because it had to be a telescope the size of the Earth. Like the bowl or the angle. Somehow I forget how it was, but it had to be that size to be able to do it, because it's all just basically math. And so then they figured out if they just move, do a bunch of little telescopes across the Earth, they can make it simulate it. And then it's kind of like shutters. So like they all record like little pieces of it, like in stripes. Because I think, because it's like looking at radio waves, and then they get different frequencies of the radio waves, but then they assemble it back together. I might be wrong on that, but it's crazy how it works. There's really good videos out there on YouTube about this.
Awesome. I'm totally gonna check.
But we didn't know it existed. We knew it existed, but we couldn't see it. And so they're actually the first black hole that, or the first images they thought would come from this telescope was this, but they couldn't get it because this one's even harder to find, even though it's in our own universe than the other one that they got. Their first images from this Event Horizon Telescope array was actually a black hole like 50 million times like further away, but it was bigger, so they're able to see it easier, something like that. Where this one's a smaller one, but still pretty massive.
Well, yeah, it's holding our whole galaxy together, so it can't be too little.
And so, yeah, the other one consumes galaxies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's like cool. It's a famous one too.
Sure.
But it was the first one, so I guess all the space community's been waiting for this image for a while, and they just released it. Awesome. And not with the James Webb Telescope, and actually a cooler telescope that's planetary.
Yeah.
And then here's another image.
The James Webb's won't be big. I don't know why I said it plural like that. The James Webb won't be able to see it, right? It's not strong enough.
No, yeah, and I don't think it's meant to look at it, but maybe, who knows? Let's see, do they go on to? No, they didn't really. Wow.
They're like, just so you know, this happened.
Sorry, I'm scrolling really fast, making people nauseous. But it says, the first photo of the Milky Way's monster black hole explained in images. Oh, we gotta go in the images? Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then you can't see it, but this is like the plasma of stuff that's getting ready to be consumed spinning around it. Because at the black hole itself, it consumes light, so light can't escape, so you can't really see a black hole. And here's the different satellites, some of the satellites. Yeah, but they such a misleading little thing, right? That's a pretty picture of it too.
That's cool. But that's just a visualization.
Yep, of a black hole. Yep. Yeah, the concept of the event horizon imager, it works by expanding the available distance between individual radio telescopes to beyond what the Earth's surface could provide. More distance, in theory, could mean better resolution. There you go. Oh, Craig, did you get him?
I did.
Oh, you did. Did it just come at the very end?
Yeah, just a couple minutes ago.
I just looked over.
Yeah, I saw like the little check mark pop up, and I was like, no.
Yeah, Grandma's like, maybe I'll get them at the end of the show this time. So then they don't talk about it too much. I can get my news and my science, and then I'll just get my ads in. I gotta get paid. Yeah, see? Yeah, see? Right there, like another one just came up. So, well, alright, we're gonna have to figure out how to control this better. Maybe we can't. Maybe this is just what people have to deal with. I don't see it in other streams. Their title is the best, though. Oh, it's so funny. So, not sarcastic funny.
I reported it too.
You reported them. Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Their fake account's gonna get in trouble. Woo, woo. All right. That's it.
Well, that was fun.
So,
another job well done.
Coming up, we have stable coins. What were they? What are they? They are problem causers. If nobody's looked, we are. Oh, we're still going down. 1.23. Horrible. And this is because of this wonderful little stable coin. This is part of it. But where's the stable coin?